Hey, what's going on YouTube? We're back with another Borderlands video, and today we are finally going to tackle the planets that we know about in the Borderlands universe. So, with Borderlands 3 rapidly approaching, there's a lot of speculation about if we will be able to travel between planets, how many planets we will get to experience, if it'll just be Promethea and nothing else. There's a lot swirling out there. And Borderlands 3 is set to be the big one, so the question is, how much of the universe will we actually see? Let's cover the planets alphabetically. Now, I will say this, we won't discuss Elpis as it's a moon, Pandora as we've covered that in another video by itself, or Promethea for the same reason. First up is Aquator, which is largely a water-based planet that is advertised as a vacation destination. You can see these signs scattered around that suggest that the planet has one large ocean. Jack also mentions the planet in regards to a scientist who has designed products that sell well on Aquator. We also know that Saul Henderson is from this planet, which was discovered in Tales from the Borderlands. Artemis is up next, and we know that Mordecai was born there and nothing else. Athenas is a planet where Maya was born and then used by the Order of the Impending Storm, as I've mentioned in her History of video. The monks used her siren powers to keep the population in line and scare them. We can learn about this briefly from a series of echoes in the Wildlife Preserve. Demophon is a planet where Axton engaged in some form of military work for Dahl. We learned this in Borderlands 2, and we also know that Vasquez from Tales from the Borderlands is from there. Dionysus is where Lilith is from, and that's all we know. Eden 5 is where Gage is from, and based on her story, it appears to be a wealthy planet with a similar feel to Earth. We also know from Hammerlock's Headhunter DLC that a Savage graduated from Eden 5 Megaversity. Again, this planet appears to be very, very different from Pandora in the sense that it is technologically advanced and it seems to have rules and a population that aren't a bunch of savages. Eden 6 is mentioned by Marcus Kincaid in Claptrap's New Robot Revolution. He offers transport to the planet for the Vault Hunters, but before he can do so, he is shot by the interplanetary ninja assassin Claptrap. There is allegedly space vixens, which we do not know what they are, on Eden 6 as well. Jack claimed to have saved their lives using Hyperion weaponry. Fiona also pretends to be an archaeologist in Tales from the Borderlands who discovered a vault key on Eden 6 as well. Eden 7 is mentioned by Vaughn as he has visited the planet once. Epta is known to contain a vault, and it was visited by Axton and Gage in search for that specific vault. They also captured Aurelia and brought her back to the Crimson Raider HQ after the Watcher said, "We're gonna need all the help we can get." Eunomia is where Captain Scarlet is from, and that's all we know. Grothic 4 is mentioned by General Knox as a retirement destination. Hephaestus is Mr. Torg's planet of origin, and that's all we know. Hera was mentioned by Krieg's sane inner voice about a fugitive being on that planet. This is why people think he may have been a bounty hunter. Wilhelm is also from that planet. Hermes is where Sir Hammerlock is from, and according to Randy Pitchford, the planet has a thin atmosphere made up of helium, and its star is a blue giant. Hestius is another planet that Axton was on with Dahl. Here he used a dignitary as bait to kill the enemy. He also killed that dignitary. Hieronymus is where Axton is from, and that's all we know. Honus 4651 is where Lilith's father died, but that's in the comics and they are a separate canon. I felt mentioning it was still appropriate as Gearbox can include it if they so choose, as they are the masters of the lore. Isolus is where TK Baha and his family are from, and the planet is in a different solar system than Pandora. We also know that Hyperion had sent assassins there to take out TK Baha, and he had to flee to come to Pandora to avoid his death. Menoetius is where Brick is from, and we also see that Atlas had surveyed the planet with Gortys. It's unknown if Atlas found anything worthwhile. Skipping over Pandora and Promethea, we have Tantalus, which is another planet that Axton was on with Dahl, and it's also Handsome Jack's planet of origin. There's also an unused vending machine quote that talks about Dahl fighting off Atlas there, so we can assume that there was some form of fighting or battle, and if those two were fighting, there's surely something on the planet that may be of use. Themis is where Sarah and her soldiers are stationed for Dahl. We find this out in Axton's personal echo log. And finally, Thrace is another planet visited by Axton while he was with Dahl. Okay, so what planets do you expect to see in Borderlands 3 outside of Promethea? Do you think that's all we get? Do you expect to visit one of the Edens or perhaps Tantalus? This is where the conversation gets started. Borderlands 3 is coming fast. We know that we're going to Promethea. The sources said so. I've confirmed this. I've already done a video and mentioned it several times. That is not new information. So, do we start on Pandora and then head to Promethea? The Tannis Easter egg makes me think that that's a possibility. So, if that's a possibility, that means we'd have to get there. Is space travel something that we can do in Borderlands 3? Well, if it's the big one, it's a real possibility. So, with that being said, we know the most about Aquator, the Edens, and Tantalus, as I've just asked. If that's the case, and this is in no way a guarantee just because we've learned more about these planets, but if I'm looking at the rundown, this series is called Borderlands. Basically, Pandora, Promethea, they're more of an outlaw, Wild West type of planet. We go there, we can do our thing. If these other planets that are more civilized have vaults, do we go? Do we fight actual armies? As we've read, Eden 5, Eden 6, Eden 7 all seem to be much more civilized. I don't think the Vault Hunters could go running up in there, shooting up the place and doing all of the things that we've done on Pandora or Elpis if they are civilized. And we have quite a bit of proof that at least Eden 5 seems to be similar to Earth. I don't think if somebody showed up that they would just be cool with that. I think you'd have a lot of the police force trying to stop that activity. I think you may have some of the manufacturers prominently involved in those planets. Maybe they have manufacturing plants and that's where they base their business out of. And with that being said, this isn't a guarantee that we're not going to go to a planet that we've never heard of, that we don't know about. How do we know? We don't. That's the thing. That's why we learn about the planets. That's why we have an open discussion. So again, drop a comment down below. What's your theory? Where do you think we're headed? Is it just one? Is it multiple? Personally, Borderlands 3 is the big one. I want multiple planets. But with that comes the discussion. I don't want multiple planets where they're all pretty bare. They haven't been well thought out. The lore isn't there. There's not a lot to do. I don't want to just be on multiple planets just because. I'd rather be on 2 or 3 planets that are fully fleshed out than 6 or 7 that feel a bit lacking, a bit empty, a bit boring. So with that being said, I firmly believe that we're going to have more than one planet. Promethea is a guarantee. So I'll leave you with that. That's the planets, that's what we know about them, and that's my thoughts. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you've got something to add, go ahead and drop a comment down below. And if you guys are into Borderlands, please subscribe. Later.